Hey everybody, it is Kendall Anise, and welcome to Remixing Relationships. All right, so today is going to be a good episode, y'all. We are not playing any games. We are going to be talking about being emotionally better or bitter. Now, a lot of people in relation they are bitter, but we're going to focus on being better. All right, Wi-Fi, I ain't playing with you. All right, so welcome to Remixing Relationships, where we dive deep into the art of creating and sustaining healthy connections. I am Kendall Anise, your fave life coach, the remix coach, and together we'll explore fresh perspectives and strategies to transform your relationships. Whether you're looking to strengthen, heal, or completely remix your love connections, you are in the right place. I'm gonna say a quick prayer right now for the Wi-Fi because I'm not sure what's going on, but we're going to continue through. I have amazing guests, and we're going to talk about being emotionally better and not bitter. Now, oftentimes people in relationships, after it's over or during it, they don't know how to transition between better or bitter. I have two guests with me today. I have Tishera Amore, who is the founder of Sacred Butterflies, and I have Sheila Dunbar, who is an author and a podcaster. All right. So before I bring them on, I just want to talk about just a few things. So as you guys know, I had to share on if you watched last week. Hi everybody, welcome. I see you. So we had to share on last week and said we was going to bring her back because we were talking about relationships and she shared some of her story, which led into open dialogue and conversations. And Tashira said, I want to talk about Black women and how we can be better and not bitter. So I was like, that's a good show and that's a good topic because I don't want Black women to have the label of angry Black woman, and I don't want Black women to feel so abandoned by love that they're bitter behind love and they never decide to subscribe to love again. I meet women all the time saying, I'm not worrying about these dudes, I don't need no man. And oftentimes it happens when you experience, certain traumas and tragedies. Like, I'm going to tell you, my last one, I could be bitter. I could be very bitter on some of the things that played out in that relationship. I could be extremely bitter, not open to love again. But I chose to heal and be emotionally better. And that's really what it's about. We're going to talk about reframing negative experiences, forgive and release resentment. We're going to talk about personal accountability, self-growth, self-love and growth. We're going to talk about just giving gratitude. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my first guest who was here last week, Tishera Amore. Welcome her to Remixing Relationships.
Hey. How are you?
Hey, girl.
Your
Good.
Wi-Fi, your
All right,
Wi-Fi
so let's talk
already.
about it. Huh?
Your Wi-Fi was cutting out. It was cutting up, but it's going to be a great show. That's why the Wi-Fi want to show off already.
Oh, it's definitely going to be a great show. That's why I said I've never had no issues or concerns in this show. That's why I know it got to be. It gotta be, but we're gonna talk about it. We got questions already. What if you're happy without a relationship? Then Renee, if you're happy without a relationship, that's fine. You're happy with yourself and dating yourself and loving yourself. But what we're gonna talk about is when you don't want to have love or you're bitter talking about love and you don't want to experience new love because of the old love that hurt you. That's what we're talking about. But if you make a choice to be without a companion or in a relationship and you're happy, that's totally different. Before I bring Sheila on, Tishera, so why did you want to talk about specifically Black women being bitter and wanting us to be better? Why did you want to talk about this week?
Um, what happens is that you oftentimes I'm gonna use social media. You oftentimes see women saying what they require in a relationship. I need this, 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 this.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, all right, I can understand why, because we have issues. But a lot of people are still bitter when they get that thing. I'm not going to say
Mm-hmm.
I know someone personally, but I know of situations where people are they're not healed. They're truly not healed. So they tend to, and I can speak for me, tend to jump from one thing to the next thing without healing. And oftentimes they don't even people, Black women,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen where we haven't adjusted to learning how to heal, but heal freely. It's a difference in healing freely, and
Yes.
not being bitter behind it, because let's just be clear, we're all an ex to someone for a reason. We're all an ex to someone for a reason. And if someone has hurt you to the place where there's bitterness, it can actually hurt you from getting the thing that God called for
Mm-hmm.
you to have. That's the way that I look at it.
Absolutely. So if you're just tuning in, today's show is all about being emotionally better and not bitter. And this is specifically dedicated to Black women. I want you all to find love, but I want you to have healing first. Are you going to be 100% healed? No. But I don't want you to jump from being bitter to a point where you say, I'm not interested in love, because that's the one thing we all have in common. We want love, but you have to go into that thing healthy and healed. So I have speaker and author Sheila Dunbar, who is going to join this conversation. Before we do that, let's see. Renee has another comment. Yes, I am looking for love. No, I pray for not being bitter. I'm 66 and happy, and you look good for 66. And I want you to find love. And there's no expiration date to find love. All right, let's bring Sheila Dunbar to the conversation, because I'm sure if you've watched my channel before, you have seen her on my channel. And she's also a part of my latest book, What I've Learned from and About My Mother Through My Personal Journey as Her Child. And Tishera even has a quote from her mom in there. But Sheila has a chapter in there, and I'm proud that now she is a published author. So welcome, Sheila Dunbar, to the show.
Hello, hello. I want to make sure I got the book. Oh my God, let me go get the book.
Yes,
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 girl,
yes.
yes.
So yes, they hold the book up. Y'all go on to Amazon
Can you
and
see
get
it?
What
Can you
I've
see it? Is it
learned
like,
from and about my mother through her my personal journey as her child. It's available on Amazon, and y'all, it's some amazing stories about moms in there,
yes.
talking real and honest about moms and what we learned from and about. So when we think about it, because how we learn
Mm-hmm.
love and certain things about relationships, sometimes it's through our mothers,
That's
right?
right.
how they navigate through relationships, if they're walking around bitter or if they're emotionally healed and better. So I'll ask each of you, what have you learned about love through your mother?
Ooh, Kendall, that's
Tishera, you go first.
a
Because y'all both looking
Baby,
like deer in the headlights.
baby, we both just said woof. I think, woof, wait a minute, we breathe now. Okay, Jesus, let's get it together, Jesus. Woof.
Woosah. Woosah.
Keep it real though, because
Okay,
honestly,
so
while you're thinking about it, let me say this. While you're thinking about it, let me say this. Mothers don't know the impact that they have, especially on their daughters,
Mhm.
when it comes to love, how they speak to men, how they respond to men, how they act when the man better and not bitter. So when you think about that and you think about your mom and what you've learned from your mom when it comes to love and relationships, what have you learned?
so I'll say this. My mom and my dad, um, he's not my biological father, but he's my father. They've showed me, my dad has showed me what it's like for a man to love a woman unconditionally. Like he got with my mom when I was 10, and they broke up for some years. They got back together and they got married. So my dad has showed me that you you love a person in a different type of a way. You know what I mean? Like my mom had previous relationships, and I'm not going to say they weren't loving relationship. They were short, some were short-lived as a child. You get what I mean? And most of the relationships that my mother did have, I seen the love that she had for for the person she was with, and I seen the love that they had for me. Um when it comes to mother-daughter relationships, that can look a little bit differently.
Mhm.
That can look differently. Not saying that my mother didn't love me, because I knew my mom loved me. I was more I was more attached to my grandmother and my aunt than I was per se my mom. So when I went through different things in life,
Mm-hmm.
me and my mother had didn't have the best relationship. I mean, at one time she didn't like me, I didn't like her. I loved her, but we didn't like each other. Where now, where now, my mom is my homegirl. We can literally talk about, like, girl, what you think about that? But it took for us to go through so many different type of streams, ups and downs and ins and out. And even still, I'd be like, ooh, you got this is still your mama. Ooh, you got to take a breath. You have to take a breath because you're learning, but she's
Mm-hmm.
your mother, I feel she learns how to love you differently, if that makes sense, as you get older. Because as a child,
Mm-hmm.
it was different for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's different.
Yeah.
Sheila.
Yeah. So
Oh,
what so
um,
you
well,
through
honestly, with my
so
mom, is she freezing?
Yeah,
hmm
she's freezing.
Well, with
what'd you
my
say?
mom,
You're freezing.
you're freezing.
She froze up. Sheila.
I'm gonna talk about my mom, but when my mom was a little different. Um, my mom was married twice. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was a, what do you call, what did they call it back in the day? Uh, uh, a turn of life baby, or my
Okay.
mother had
Oh
me
yeah, change of
a
life.
change
Change
of
of
life
life.
baby.
Right.
Yeah.
I was the eighth child, so I'm the baby. And my mother had me when she was 45,
Okay.
and you know, so there was a lot of years apart, and but my mother's first husband, I didn't see him, of course, but he treated her like a queen. When my mother had her first husband, she didn't have to work. She never had to work. He worked. When he passed away early. I think he was 35. He was ill. He passed away. And at that time, she had 5 kids, and she had to go out and figure out how to support these 5 kids. And she did. When she met my dad, my mother was very strong. She grew up in a time where, I have these 5 kids. I don't want to have to put this responsibility on him. These are my kids. So she went out, worked, and my mother worked from the time from the time I was born or from whenever until she was 67 years old. She worked. And I saw the relationship she had with my father. My father died in 1978, but he cherished her. He loved her. And my mom, she let him be the man, but I don't want to say he knew how to walk softly around her, because my father was a strong man. But when it came to my mother, he was weak for her.
Okay.
And there was nothing he wouldn't do for her.
Mm-hmm.
He was the protector, the provider for her. I mean, he did everything to make sure she felt safe, and her children felt safe. And when he died, my mom, she found a boyfriend who it was like the same type of men. So she always found men who treated her with respect, who treated her like the woman I always say the queen that she was. Because even though my mom, she worked all her life, she was a very good person. She took care of other people's children, meaning if you had a child and your child was having some issues, come on, all right, send him to Maddie, send him to Kitty. Kitty will take care of him. She'll raise him right. She'll feed them. She was that type of a person. And she showed me how to love, like you said, how your father loved your father loved unconditionally. That's how she showed love unconditionally. You didn't have to do things for her, and for her to love you. And the men that she had in her life, loved her for that. It wasn't like she had a lot to give, but what she gave was herself and her personality, and she made them feel like she made them feel special, during a time when, a lot of Black men, growing up during that time weren't really made to feel special. So those are things that I learned from my mother. And when it comes to the mother-daughter relationship, again, we had a good relationship, but I always say, I had brothers, and my mother was so soft on my brothers, but she was so hard on us girls. And that made us more independent.
Isn't that something?
It is.
She made that made us more.
Isn't that something though? Isn't that something? Because that often happens. That often happens where the brothers kind of get the babying, and the mothers tend to be harder on or give more responsibility to the girls. But then you hear that the brothers get away with a little more, or it's like, I remember with my brother, I was like, Mom, are you going to cut up his food till he's 35? Like, what's going on? Like, you're going to cut up the food? Like, he's grown at this point. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, you cutting up the steak. Like, what's going on? The boy driving.
Women, it's something we can't even begin to talk about them. that's a whole other conversation, because if we start there about the mothers with the brothers,
Brother, this
we're gonna have to
I'm
have
telling
another
you.
conversation.
I'm
That's
telling you.
Sheila, we gotta have another. We got
But that's how it is. And it's funny because my brother and I were having a conversation recently, and I always tell him he's 2 years older than I am. I said, out of all of the 8 kids, I always say, you were always Ma's favorite. We don't know why, but he's more kind-hearted like her. And I said, you even got a car. You were 16 years old driving a car, and she bought you a car. And he's like, well, because I had to drive her around. I'm like, yeah, but when I got old, I would drive her around. She didn't buy me a car. I mean, she would help. But we were joking about that, but he's like, oh, just because I had to drive her around all the time. I'm like, okay. If you say so.
But they don't see it. They're not going to see it. They're on a different side of it, so they're not going to see it. But I want to talk about let's get into, I want to talk about negative experiences, right? Because oftentimes women become bitter in relationships and they have to reframe the negative experiences. So this is the thing. When people focus on hurt, it's easy to stay bitter. Pain into empowerment. So basically what that is even though the experience might not have been ideal and how you wanted it to happen, it happened. And every relationship leaves lessons, and even the most difficult ones teach boundaries, self-respect, what I ain't gonna do no more, resilience, what I ain't gonna, if I see a face that look like this, it still teaches you. So you got to expand that thought, right? And not just say this happened, because things happen not to you, but for you. So think about, I challenge the listeners and even Tishera and Sheila, think about one positive thing you gain from a past relationship, no matter how small. And then maybe it could be even starting a new hobby, a television show that you like, learning how to communicate your needs, learning how to set boundaries, learning when to say no. So think about a past relationship. What is something positive that you learned that you could have been turned into positivity?
Tishera, you want to go first?
My cousin said little Kareem. My cousin said little Kareem because that's my brother.
No, you know what? I would first.
But how can you? What'd you say?
I think one of the oh geez, I had so many. I mean, it's so many, but I want to say one would have been just prior to my meeting my now husband. I was in a relationship with a young man that I met in college, and 11 years later, I met him on the street, and I'm thinking, oh, this is kismet. We're supposed to be together. This is the love of my life. We're going to be together. And he turned out to be, a disappointment because there's so many things that I wanted and expected. And I realized learning from that relationship, because when we were in college, there were things that we did, and he had aspirations of things he wanted to do. And you fast forward 11 years later, and he's still talking about these things. And I'm like, wait a second, you were talking about this in college, when we were in school.
None of them.
And I'm like, but when are you gonna when are you gonna do this? And he was a very nice gentleman. He was a very nice man, but it was just, he seemed to have been kind of like stuck in the same place. And at that point, I rededicated my life to God, and he had issues with religion, and and it was just, it just didn't work out, and the relationship, it got to a point where I'm like, we can't do this. I can't do this. And one of the things I learned from that is, you can't go backwards. There's a reason why, and people say this, but there's a reason why a person is your ex. You can't think because you've met someone that you had a good relationship for in the past, and now you meet him again, that okay, this is meant to be. It's not meant to be. It's not meant to be. He was a nice gentleman, but he never changed. And I felt like if I would have stayed with him, we would have still been talking about what he wanted to do, and it's funny because even after I got married, and after I got married and I lived in the same neighborhood, he was still living in the same living in the same place that he was when I dated him. And I'm like, so what are you doing? He's like, oh, well, I'm trying to do this. I'm like, are you still trying to do this? It's like 14, 15 years later now. Come on. So, I mean, I was kind of glad that I dodged the bullet with that one, because we would have still kind of, I think I would have really been unhappy with that. So, but I wasn't, I couldn't say I was bitter, because I wasn't bitter. I was happy that I was able to get out of that. I was very happy to leave that.
Yeah, that was last week's show.
Yeah,
that was last week's show.
Right.
You dodge the bullet? That's
Yeah,
what we talked about. But tell them how long you have. Yeah, but tell them how long you've been married now, and had you not learned those lessons, and had you not really moved forward, you wouldn't be married. Tell them how long you've been married now.
24 years. It'll be 25 years next July. So it's 24 years we've been married. And it's and people think, now I'm gonna tell you this too, because you had me and my husband on your show. It's not always pie in the sky and roses, and it's some pain through those 20 plus years. But it comes to a point where are you gonna cut and run, or are you gonna go through the hard times? Because God never said you weren't gonna have no good day, no bad days. You always gonna have some bad days. But a lot of times the bad days outweigh the good days, outweigh the bad days.
And I won't complain. Go ahead, sing it.
I won't complain. I was thinking about that song. I was trying to get there, Kendall. I was trying to get there.
Good day. But I won't complain. You know what? I have to tell y'all this. So all the funerals in our family, and it was Mr. Gerald, he would sing that song at every funeral, and he's since passed. And I'm like, who gonna sing the song at his funeral? Because everyone, and he would be like, he would talk it. He'd be like, I have good days and bad days, but I won't complain. You know how they sing in every funeral. And look, and my family members be like this. Like, he tore the house down. They be like, sing, you better sing.
Okay, now stop it.
Terrible.
Tishera, he sang at my grandmother's funeral. He sang at everybody's funeral and he was a nice man. And I was sad to hear that he had passed away. Yep. But that song, but you will have good days, you will have bad days. But what is complaining doing? Because that complaining can lead to bitterness, endless bitterness. What about you, Tishera? What is something in a past relationship that it could have turned you bitter, but you decided to reframe it and see the positive takeaway in that?
There's so much. There's a lot to unravel. There's a lot to unravel. But what I've learned about me, and I can honestly say this, is that I have tend to deal with unhealed people. Unhealed people, not knowing that they weren't healed, or not knowing what I know now is they have to be healed. I'm going to be a therapist. That's one thing. I don't want to be a therapist to the person that I'm going to be with. No relationship, no matter how short or how long, no relationship it's just perfect. It's not.
Yeah.
But there's things now that I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to say they're a red flag, but it's like, oh no, I did that already. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I wish you the best, because that was a part of me that wanted to fix people, wanted to, oh, I can do it. Oh, don't worry
Mm-hmm.
about it. I got it. I don't got it no more. I just don't have it no more. I don't have it anymore. I can't help you get on your feet. No, I don't want to be her anymore. And because I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be her, I'm like, I've learned that. Because you can't fix people.
Mm-hmm.
Past relationships showed me is that I can't fix people. Fix yourself first.
Mm-hmm. That's powerful. And you said a lot, because if you're going to school to be a therapist and you got to therapize
Mm-hmm.
people
Yeah.
outside of your home, in your home, you want that peace. You want that person to have been able to work on themselves to bring something to you that you need, and not being at home being a therapist because you need time to unwind. And I totally get it. I,
And
I
that's
always say, when people are dating, you need to ask the person, have you been through therapy? What do you think about therapy? What have you learned from your past relationship? How have you healed? You got to ask those things, and people don't want to ask things like that. But if you can't, because if somebody be like, "Nah, forget therapy, I ain't," that's not somebody that you even want to continue with. So I hear you on that.
and it's the truth though, because people are not open to therapy.
Mhm.
Especially in our community, they're not
Mm-hmm.
open to therapy. So, unfortunately, people start hitting their late 60s and start realizing how messed up and jacked up they were
Yeah.
to their family, to their children, wondering why the children don't want to deal with you because you had
Ooh.
this epiphany. You
Yeah.
had the epiphany at 67 years old. I'm going to use 67. You had the epiphany at 67, but your 40-year-old or your 43-year-old or your 37-year-old child has been traumatized by you not
Mm.
even seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
So therapy is not something that is pushed around in our community, but we need that. We need the Lord, and we need therapy.
Yep.
This is why the Lord gives people to help you
Yep.
help you.
Come
But
on.
the one thing that I've learned is that no, 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 I got to fix me all the way around. But in learning that, I've learned how to love me from a
Yeah.
different
Mm-hmm.
place. It's not that that who runs the world, girls kind of a love. No, it's not that kind of a love. It's like it's like it's like Jill Scott. Let's take
Yeah,
a long walk.
yes, yes,
It's
exactly. You being comfortable with yourself,
Yep.
and that's the place to share I am at. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, and and maybe because I'm a woman, I'm getting up to be I'm at that certain age. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I'm comfortable within my skin, with
Mhm.
myself, with being by myself if I want to be, with doing things by myself.
Mhm.
I'm married. I love my husband, but at times, I don't want to be around my husband. I'm going to be realistic, and the same thing with him. He doesn't want to be around me all the time. Sheila's a lot. Sheila's a lot to take. so
you
but
Sheila like off of are you Sheila like off of the no, I'm not
Mary, you talking about Tyler Perry,
Sheila.
Sheila?
I was thinking about the Tasha and Marcus. You
I'm
going
not that bad. No, I ain't
no,
that bad.
no, I'm just messing with
I
you.
am not that bad. No, well,
Sheila,
I don't know. If you talk to my husband, I might be, but but no. But it's like you have to be comfortable with yourself, and it took me a long time to get to this place,
Mhm.
and it's like where I want to. I don't care. I'll be by myself. I'll go to the movies by myself. I'll go
Yeah.
sit and have lunch at a restaurant by myself.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing that.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with myself.
and it
Yes.
takes, but unfortunately, it takes for you to go through all of those things to get to
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
go through the mud. It's like
Mhm.
it's not everyone. I'm not saying everyone has to go through the mud, but for the most part, let's say 70 and 70-30 ratio. 70% of us go through the mud, mud in order to hit here, where the other 30% may have been, not saying they didn't go through the part of being damaged, or but they was able to have it was more even keel.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But for me, when I think about me, I just like, girl, you was out here, I can say it, out here trying to be Captain Save a Hoe. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta say it that way because that's what it was.
Yeah.
Not, I don't mean it in a negative way. And please, I'm who I am, but I was trying to save everybody. And
Mhm.
you know, I mean, just wanted to help and help and help and realize I was depleted.
But you
Yeah.
can't. You can't do that.
And
You
and
can't do that.
and that's what happens.
Mhm.
I'm gonna move this conversation along. Let's talk about forgiveness and releasing resentment. So resentment is like carrying a heavy book bag, y'all, on your back full of rocks, bricks, boulders. It can weigh you down. Forgiveness
Mhm.
doesn't mean excusing bad behavior. Let me be clear. When you forgive somebody, it doesn't mean that you're excusing their bad behavior. It means that you're choosing peace for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to do that. You can forgive somebody and leave them right where you left them because it is for you, as we hear a million times, and it means choosing peace for yourself. So let's expand that thought for a moment. So talk about it's important to talk about emotional freedom, and it comes with letting go of bitterness, because how can you be emotionally free when you're still angry and still bitter at somebody who ain't even thinking about you, or who has moved on, or is still going to continue their bad behavior? And you
Mhm.
sitting somewhere bitter and angry based off of what happened, and they're going on and setting themselves free. I remember one time years ago, I was watching the Oprah Winfrey show. This was way back in the day. And I remember Oprah, and I don't even know how old I was, if a teenager or in my 20s. And I remember Oprah saying that she was so angry at somebody and so mad at somebody, and she couldn't even remember why, but she was so mad. And she said she saw them and they were laughing and joking and enjoying their life and having a good time. And she said at that moment she realized, I'm sitting here holding all of this resentment and they not even thinking about me. They are living their lives and
Yeah.
I'm sitting here. So that's the same thing with letting go and releasing the resentment. And it's also like whether you got to write down your hurt in a journal, whether you got to tell the person how you feel without talking to them, just speak it out loud, whatever you got to do to release those emotions, because that's what bitter is. It's a hard emotion that you're holding on to that was attached to whatever situation that happened in that relationship. And that's why you see people, I was talking about this morning. You go into work, you say good morning. Somebody say, what's
Mhm.
good about the morning? They just mad. They got just so bitter and so angry with everything. And when it comes to dating, and then they sitting home, and ain't nothing wrong with no cats, but sitting home with a bunch of cats, right? And I'm not defining a man. I'm not. And they scrolling through social media like, love, these people. You know what I mean? And it's ridiculous. Like, free yourself. Them people ain't worth your life. Take what you
Yeah.
learn and smile. Turn that frown upside down, because they lost the best thing that ever happened to them. But that ain't got nothing to do with you. You got to learn not to be bitter from what people have done to you. You know what I mean? Take it, even if it's the worst thing. If somebody was doing something, just remind yourself that you are free, and there's no reason to be bitter when you're free. All
Yeah.
right.
I
Let's
think
talk
that
about
that
that.
can be two-parted, because I feel for I'm always speak about myself. You have to go through a grieving. You go through a grieving space too.
Oh, 100%.
I when you're grieving that relationship for whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really know when that grieving stops. Just think about it.
Yeah.
You love
Mm-hmm.
somebody and someone passes away. You have some people
Mm-hmm.
that are still grieving their mothers, their father. That kind of pain is a different, I would say it's a different type of level of pain. But when you love someone, you have to literally go through the grieving stages of that relationship, of
Mm-hmm.
it meant for you. And although it may look good for that person over there, but you're grieving it.
Yeah.
And I say, give yourself the time that you need to grieve it and then the healing. Because while you're grieving it, you're messed up mentally, emotionally. Why? I remember, oh, Jesus. I'll tell
Unless you decided to end it, then you ain't messed up.
you, right. Most
It
people,
depends on who decided.
Sometimes, because even if you decide to end it, you may still grieve it, even because you.
Yes,
you may,
any end of relationship you're going to grieve, but
Yeah.
every end of relationship you're not going to be bitter. They're not synonymous. So you'll still grieve, but you may not be bitter. It's how you grieve and where your level of healing is, or where you have come. So just because you grieve, it doesn't mean you're bitter. They're not synonymous.
But the thing about it is that it's having the conversations like this where people realize, listen, I am really in a grieving place over that person, but being able to talk to well-rounded people, women, a group of women that say, listen, girl, I got you. It's okay. If you're still going through this, if you still feel this way 6 months from now, that's fine. My girlfriend told me, she said, I'm guaranteeing you in a year, you won't feel this. And I was like, girl, at that point, I was, why does it hurt so bad? I was saying, I was
waiting for that soundtrack.
I was crying, I was snotting and everything. She says, you hurting right now? She said, but I guarantee you in a year, you'll feel better. And I couldn't see it then. But as time went on and time passed, I've learned, like, wow, it does feel better, because some people can get over people like that. Some people can get over, but some people can't. And I just say, if you're going to go through the grieving space of that relationship ending, make sure you surround yourself with some good people that can understand this and say, you know what, you're good. How you feeling today? You want to go out and just get some coffee? Because you can't surround yourself with people that's like, girl, you shouldn't have been with him anyway. That's no good. And what?
Yeah, because that's getting a bitter person to give you advice. So if you get a bitter person that hasn't gone through the healing process and that hasn't grieved the relationship, whatever that grief looks like, some people's grief could be 5 minutes, some people's could be 5 months, somebody's could be 5 years. There's no measure to it, but you got to watch who you listen to, because we were talking earlier, if your mama is a bitter woman, and I'm not trying to disrespect nobody's mama, and I'm going to say this, and some of y'all going to be mad at me, but I got to call it like I see it, from a woman, from a professional, from a life coach. And I'm not saying nothing about somebody's mama in that way. I'm talking professionally. When I think about the Braxton sisters, and I think about Miss E, she still seems bitter and angry over the relationship. I know Mr. Braxton cheated on her 20, 30 something years ago. He's been with this new woman like 30 years. He cheated on her back then. I understand the grief. I understand the loss. I understand the betrayal. I understand the lies. So we're not taking none of that away. He was wrong. I understand that. But what she showed and demonstrated to her daughters, based off of what we've seen on the years of reality shows, I ain't been in the house with them. I'm speaking clearly on what I've seen. When she was on Iyanla, when they were sitting down with TD Jakes, when they were sitting down with Dr. Sherry, they done sat down with every professional, right? And what I have seen is Miss E still has that same rage, bitter, and anger like it just happened yesterday. So I understand grieving process and let it play out, but it does come to a point where you have to begin to try to heal and switch that around. We can't say it's 30 years, because that's 30 years of somebody's life, right? But what I do see is a tinge of bitterness and anger, and she did project it on her daughters, as they said, right? So we have to be careful because more is caught than taught. So even when she wasn't telling them per se, your dad did this and that, how she acted, the behavior of it all, showed that. And it's no diss to Miss Evelyn or anything like that, but I gotta call it like I see it, because it does seem like it's a tinge of bitterness. Now, if you ask her, she might be like, I ain't bitter. You know what I mean? But the behavior and the responses to certain things does show that, based off of what they've showed us.
But you know what, and this is my opinion, when I see that, especially when you're talking years and years and they're still in that mindset, bitterness, to me it's like that they're still in love with that person.
I agree.
To me, that's the way I feel, because after a certain point, you have to get over it. You have to move on with your life.
I agree.
You have to. You cannot stay. You can't, because if you can, you're constantly worried about this person and bitter, and you. To me, sometimes in relationships that I've had, I think maybe one in my entire life, and that was an issue between my husband and I that we had, was when I was really, really, I'm not going to say bitter, hurt and sad. However, I don't think in any of the other relationships that I've had in my lifetime that I've been at a point where that I've grieved. It's like, okay, it ended. All right, well, I guess he wasn't for me, or I wasn't for him. He wasn't. I've had boyfriends or relationships where they've cheated on me. Lord knows I had one. I was dating this a young man, and I just knew we were going to be married, and I was dating him, and he's dating me. Next thing I know, I'm in a fashion show. He shows up at the fashion show with another girl.
I agree.
And I'm thinking, what's going on here? But it is what it is, and but to be bitter,
right?
To me, that means you
I
really,
agree.
really in
I
love
agree
with
with you.
person.
Like relationships, I haven't either. Like that's how I feel.
And like for me, it's good though, because you see how y'all didn't go through that, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so in going through that,
people grieve the possibility is gone.
It was a lot of different things that went on in that, the grieving part of it, because you watch things go from good and it just dwindles, and you just see it's a lot. So you go through a process.
Mm-hmm.
As you're processing it, and just like Sheila had said, when I had decided to give my life to the Lord, I knew that the Lord was my strength in that grief. So what happens is most times, I'm going to say maybe 70-30, here I go, 70-30, people don't have
that's
that.
numbers.
Yeah, 70-30, people don't have the spiritual part of it.
Yeah.
When you don't have that spiritual connection, when you're going through the breakup, that bitter, that it stays that way. But if you have a relationship with what your belief system is, it will teach you. And all reliefs are going to say the same thing. Lean onto me. Bring it to me. No matter what religious choice you have, it's going to say, bring that over me. It's not for you to carry by yourself. And when people don't have it, I think it makes it a lot harder, because they live in the world of things. They live in the worldly things, as far as like that's all they see, or they heard that so and so was with so and so, so that gets you more upset. Then you go through the phase of, I went through this, I was real young. Go through the phase where, like, did she look better than me? What did she have?
That comparison,
yeah.
But that was a whole marriage. I was in a marriage and things had ended, and I'm looking like, what does she have that I don't?
Yeah.
But now that I'm healed, I know what it is that I want, and I know what I don't have to deal with. But the healing part of, we all as women, we should always be empathetic to the next sister.
100%.
Yeah.
We should be, because she going through some things, and that's what you're here for, just to listen.
Yeah.
100%.
Be the listen. That's what I love. I love listening to people. I love being like, oh wow, without even, when I say oh wow, that's my response. Oh wow, like wow. Okay, sum it up, because people just really need to be heard. But as Black women, we have to learn. We have to learn some things, because we've allowed certain things to take such a mental toll on us that we don't know how to learn how to heal.
Yeah, because especially if you keep choosing the same type of guy, right? And sometimes you can grieve within the relationship while you're in it. Like you can see things changing and see things happening, and you're grieving through it. I can think about me, like I don't really grieve, like you said, Sheila, at the end of a relationship. I think my grief is when I see stuff happening, it's already transitioning. My
Yeah.
mind is already
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when it's finally done,
You're
it's
done.
done. I'm
Yeah.
done.
You're
Right.
done.
Because it's interesting how I could just, because when a relationship is over, a relationship doesn't, it's not over that day.
Mhm.
It's been showing signs that it's over, and you're trying to navigate through it. So by time it's done, you already are almost like healing and grieving and going through those emotional thoughts, and you're realizing the dream that you might have had for that relationship is over,
Right.
right? So you're already going through that process sometimes within the relationship. And it also, it I guess, the level of tolerance, the
Mhm.
level of forgiveness, and all of that you've already gone through in the relationship. Because like you said, Sheila, earlier, you can't be with somebody 20 something years and not go through ups and downs and have issues and concerns. If somebody out there, y'all, is telling you that somebody's relationship is perfect, move over, because lightning about to strike.
That's
Jump over, get away from the trees and all of
right.
that.
Get away from
Right.
them quick.
Right, quick,
Yeah.
because they're lying. They're not
Yeah.
telling the truth. They're telling stories and tall tales because that's not the thing. So, but it's the thing is, how do you? I remember my girlfriend since seventh grade, Tamia. She said, I just admire and I don't understand how, with some of the stuff that you've been through, especially, whoo, child. How are you so open and can love again? She said, you hold nothing. Like you can just go and love again. And it truly is, like y'all said, the grace of God and having God as my center.
Mhm.
And I'm just not a bitter person. I don't hold on to things. Like if I rock with you, I rock with you. If I don't, I
Yeah.
don't. I don't hold bitterness in my heart, even on the worst relationship,
Yeah.
right? I just don't. I even with that relationship, and I did it, and I processed through my last relationship. I said, okay, what have I learned? What has God saved me from? What is something that I can say, okay, I can give him a compliment, I can forgive. Like what I go through those processes, because nobody is going to have a strong hold on me when it comes to bitter. I am not going to lose my shine
Yeah.
because of that. And it's actively really trying to do that. That's why when I say you have to find little things, even think about somebody, the worst person, whoever listening and watching has ever been with in their life, whatever trauma, whether it's abuse, trauma, not get along, arguing, whatever. It could be the smallest thing to the biggest thing. You have to be able to forgive in your heart, right? Not even necessary if you never talk to that person again. You have to forgive them and you have to forgive yourself. If you hold on to unforgiveness for yourself for making bad choices and decisions, or if you hold on to what they did, you're never going to be able to even know that you need to enter into the healing process, because entering in the healing process truly is a choice. Like you have to be able to do that. And then you go through it. And like Tishera said, it's not, some people can get right through it, like Sheila said. And
Mhm.
then some people, it's going to take some time. And if you're breaking up, and I'm not going to share Tishera's business, she could do that. But if you're breaking up with somebody because of outside circumstances, but you really have love for each other and you're not breaking up because you don't love each other, then I know that there's a different grieving process.
Yeah.
You want to talk
Yeah.
about that, Tishera? Because that's totally different
It
from
gives because it was, you know,
Regular
just
breakup.
out there, like my last marriage, me and my ex-husband, you know, my ex-husband has substance abuse issues. You know, I mean, he said substance abuse, and to watch him to go from this man, like, and to see him dwindle, and you're the praying wife, and you're like, Lord, pull them together. That was a grief for me,
Mhm.
because I say it all the time. It was like watching your king take a fall. You know, that's what it was for me, watching him take a fall. And I felt myself slowly falling in that, you know, like emotionally. I was like, oh God, how? But my faith, this was at the same time, I was building my relationship with the Lord. So when all that was falling apart, I went through that whole grieving part, that I can't believe that this happened, to where now me and my ex-husband, when I say he's my bestie boo, we like this. Like, where we at now is so freeing, because I'm not committed to him. He's not
Mhm.
committed to me, but we're committed to making the best choices we can make for ourselves individually, and our families are close. You know what I mean? If something happens to me, my mom's going to let him know. It's same thing with his mom. So
Mhm.
we're still family, but we know what happened to break that marriage up. But where I'm at now, Sheila, I don't want to be in a relationship with nobody. Sugar,
I'll tell it. She heard some of last week's show.
Sheila,
Yeah. I,
I, I'm I want to date. I want to date. I would,
yeah. Yeah.
but I don't want to be like someone like, I want to be with you for the rest of. If someone says they met me and they feel like, oh my goodness, where you been at all my life? I got to just use corny cliches. Like, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. I'm really going to ask them why. Like, you know, like, why? You know, that's the why. Why you want to be with me? But not
Why
saying,
come? You gotta say, why come?
yeah, why? Because I'm in a space now where I'm like, you know, I may not have a lot, but I'm prenuptial in it. Uh,
Mhm.
no, not nothing that I worked hard for. No. And if I'm with a man and he has things, protect that too. I'm never
Mhm.
gonna believe in that, because
I
you
should
had a
have did
life
that.
before
I
me.
should have did that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had a life before me. If you have children, I have a life with, you know,
Mhm.
before you, with children and grandchildren. If I was to, you know, when it's time for me to go, and especially if I went and we just got together and you think you're gonna take my stuff, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In that kind of respect, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? But when it comes to love and wanting someone to court me, child, I'm for all of it. I can't wait until we come around, but I'm not
You're not
I'm not
pressed. You're not pressed.
I'm not
Yeah.
pressed. So I'm
Hmm.
not, if someone says, "Oh, can I take you out to dinner?" Where are we going?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to know where we going. My location is going to be on for those in case I go missing.
Yeah.
Location services ping me, because
Yeah.
unfortunately the dating room out here is different. It's
Yeah.
spooky. It's spooky.
That's what
Sheila
I'm
looked like
hearing.
she want to say
That's what I'm
something.
hearing.
It's
Sheila
like
looking like
tales
she
from
wanted
the
to say
crypt.
something. Her face
Like
looked like
tales
she
from the
wanted.
crypt. It's like tales from the crypt, baby. They look good. Some people,
Uh-uh.
when I say they fine as wine, they do. They fine. I mean, you be like,
And
dang.
everybody wants to get married though. All the dudes now, they're not playing a game. They want to
Because they
get
tired.
married.
They
These
50 years
men
old
want
and they want to
to
get married now because they tired and they want
wife
folks
you
to
up.
take care of them. Ain't
Yeah.
nobody gonna see
And
with
then,
me.
but let me take up for some of the guys. Some guys are just marrying guys. Like some guys are relationship guys. Some of them, I totally agree with you. They like, okay, I'm ready to settle down for the first time. I'm 63 and a half.
They done
Like,
got diabetes. They got
like you ain't never been
high blood
married.
pressure. You want me to come take care of you? Now, that ain't gonna work for me, sugar. You better make sure you have you a nurse on standby. 'Cause I got things to do. But
Put that in the dowry.
and what? Oh, I can't do that. I'm not
But,
doing.
That's
but
the
you but
thing.
you know what? But you know what, ladies? You know what I realized? And this is what I've seen. It's like when when you mature as a woman and you're comfortable in your skin and yourself and how you are, that's when you start attracting, because you know, when you're attracting the, you know, those type of men that wanna what's the word, cuff you down, or I don't know what's the word that they use,
Cuff
is
you
that the
up.
right word?
Cuff you
They
up.
want
Cuff you up, cuff you up, cuff you down.
Cuff you down. Cuff you up. Cuff you
See,
all around.
they want to be all in your bed and stuff. Ain't nobody finna do that.
Uh-uh.
Listen, y'all. Listen, I know you and her are both in the
Because
relationship.
don't you have a queen size bed? So it's just for a
Baby,
queen.
listen, when I tell you, listen, I had somebody, I kid you not, right? I seen her and they was like, hey, T, what's going on? I was like, hey, how are you? They was like, oh, so they was like, oh, so when you gonna cook for me? I said, oh, baby, I don't do that.
Yeah.
They said, huh? I said, oh, I don't do that. They said, oh, you should let me come over. I said, now why would you think you won't come over my house?
Come on.
What you cooking? Now, first of all, I got 3 dogs in here. They ain't gonna like you. And you want to come over my house to do what? So we can what? No, I don't got regular cable. I got, Netflix and chill. Like, what? It turned me off. I just was like,
That is a turn off. That's a turn off. Yeah.
The person, he was nice and everything, but I was looking at the person like, is that all you got to offer? That's that therapist person inside me. Like, you want to come over to my house to cook, and you want me? I said, oh no, baby, I already done been a wife a couple times. I'm good.
Yeah.
I know how to be a wife. That's
right.
And it's different. Like you and Kendall, Sheila, y'all have healthy relationships going on. That's good. But sugar, from out here on these streets, I'm gonna sit right inside. I'm gonna find my business. I guess I'm gonna find them on TikTok or something like this. I might gonna come across, because then here's the other part. Because we having these, we talking about having relationships that are healthy. I have a thing now.
100%.
Healthy relationships. If they don't got no teeth and they profile pictures, baby, listen, the dating room is real. They do the smile. They do the, the smile. I was talking to somebody. I kid you not, right?
Oh my God.
I was talking to him and everything. All his pictures look so nice and everything. And then we were FaceTime, and I was like, I don't see his teeth. And the next day I said to him, why you ain't send me a picture about, a picture? Because I smile all the time. Like, oh, I have a mean demeanor. I said, do you got teeth? I said, send me a picture with you with your teeth. Do you know I've never heard from him again? Because that
said, how dare you? How dare you?
I don't even care if you got some falsettos.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to ask. I was online dating. And I asked a guy that before too, because all his pictures was like this.
Well, maybe some people just don't like to show their teeth when they.
And I agree. Some people don't, but she said that she never heard from him again. So I guess he said, "The heck with you asking about my personal business."
Because when I was online on the little thing that me and you talked about, Kendall, I changed my profile picture up to make sure I said that, please have teeth.
Because he could still have false teeth, right? It's just have some.
I'm saying just have some.
I'm mad you said falsettos, though.
Falsettos. I love falsettos. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, my bottom joints, I have a bottom, and I could talk about it, but child, the dog ate them. I left them down my side because my side teeth is out, and my side joints. I said, I can't believe the side joint.
I feel you on that. Yeah.
But I still got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But still,
I mean, I got missing. I mean, we talking about teeth, but yeah, I got teeth pulled too. But it's like you have to. I know what you're saying. Like you still, because it still is about caring about yourself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of men don't know, if you're not taking care of yourself, then how are you going to take care of a woman? And I'm not talking about take care of a woman financially, but how are you going to care for a woman? Let me change that. if you don't care for yourself. You ain't even caring for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying. All right, as we go, we're gonna definitely to have a part 2 because Sheila go to bed at 8:30 and she
I
up.
know, Sheila.
I do. Listen,
And I'm not
Kendall, come on now. I'm up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock at the gym now.
Oh,
so
you
come
know,
on
I
now.
know.
That's what,
You already know. You my sister. You know I ain't judging. I already know. That's why I said for her to say yes to being on the podcast is I said she loved me
We're
because
gonna
she'd
have to
be
do it we're gonna
in
have
her
to do it on one of
second.
her days that she's
Yeah.
available a little earlier. Maybe we can jump on hers. You know, whichever way y'all want to do it, we can
No,
jump
we
on.
can definitely go earlier because go earlier and not even maybe we can even go earlier. But because I want to talk more about some of the other things we talked about. But I just want to wrap this up. We're talking about, y'all, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about being emotionally better and not bitter. Now, we all go through relationships where there are breakups. There might be knockdown, drag out fights, emotional things swung, or whatever that is. Or it might be a relationship that you wish you had still and you no longer have, or there might have been infidelity, whatever it might have been, and it can cause you to be bitter if you don't look at it properly. That's why it's important to take time to heal. It's not always the other person. You have to find, accountability in what's happening in that past relationship, and you have to heal and grow from it. Now, if you don't do your self-work, that will sit you in a place of bitterness. But you don't want to be bitter because that's going to stop you from getting all that you need to get out of life. And like Tishera and Sheila said, you got to pray about that thing and really stay in the word and really go to therapy, go to counseling, life coaching, read on your own, go to YouTube, a podcast, whatever you got to do to bring yourself out of that bitterness, because bitterness is going to block some of your blessings.
Yeah.
I want to talk about creating a gratitude list. Really just think about gratitude. It kind of rewires your brain and your focus because there's so many things to be grateful for and thankful for. And everything got a silver lining. Even if you don't see it right now, everything got a silver lining. As we conclude, Sheila, what advice would you give somebody who has just really gone through a breakup and they are bitter? How can you, advise them that it's only a season and the bitterness is hurting them and not the other person?
One of the things that I've come to realize, and this is in my relationship, is whenever my husband and I we have an argument, because we do argue, and I'll if I'm upset, it affects my body, my mind, and how I feel. And I realize that once I say what I have to say, and I just get it out, and you don't have to say it in a unhealthy way, but sometimes just talk it. If you're in a relationship or the relationship is ended, stand in front of a mirror and yell and scream and get it out. If write it. You mentioned before journaling. A lot of times, and my husband doesn't even know I do this. If I'm upset with him, and I things are going in my head that no teeth and Gumby, things are going in my head. Because sometimes,
Tishera, I'm sorry. That's the comments. She cracked
but things are going in your head, and I sit down and I'm writing, okay, the pros and the cons. Why do I love about my husband? And 9 times out of 10, the pros are gonna outweigh the cons. Write the issues, write down, because being bitter is not gonna help. Sometimes when a relationship ends, that may be time for you to take time for yourself, to do things, to learn, take on hobbies, do something so that you can get out of that, so you can heal faster.
I love that.
Definitely do that.
You want to invest in self-love and growth. Like it's
Mhm.
practical ways that you can show your self-love and taking that time for yourself before you jump into another relationship. Take time to fall in love with yourself
That's
again. And I
right.
think too many people don't do that because everybody wants love. So they're jumping from one. It's like
Mhm.
leapfrog. It's like Donkey Kong. It's like Frogger. They're jumping from one to the next, to the next, to the next.
To the
And they
next.
never right to take a break
Yeah.
to fall in love with yourself because it's cliche, you've heard it before, but you can't really fall in love with anyone else until you fall in love with yourself and recognize who you are, like, totally.
And
And
sometimes
it's not easy for some people to really take a hard look at themselves, but you have to be able to do that and know yourself fully so when you get into the next relationship you can take the lessons and not the bitterness.
and sometimes people sometimes people are afraid to be by themselves,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you know, because they're afraid of what they'll find out about themselves,
Mhm.
that they may not even like themselves as much. So it's like you have to do that. You have to take that time. You have to take that time. If a relationship ends, like Tishera said, you have to grieve. You're gonna grieve, okay? So everyone is not going to be like me or you, Kendall, and get
Mhm.
over it. But if you grieve, let it go through the grieving period, but go
Mhm.
through it, and don't let it consume your life.
That's
Use
it.
it while you're grieving. Find something to do. Take an art, anything. Take an art class.
Mhm.
There's so many things that you can discover out there that you can do on your own to get to know yourself, to feel comfortable. So the next time you go into a relationship, you're in more confident, and and you can be able to say, okay, well, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm not going to settle for anything less.
I love that. Excellent advice, Sheila. Excellent advice. And like you said, and you both said, everybody's grieving process is different. Some people don't grieve. Some
Mhm.
people, move forward. And some people, situations like Tishera where the love is still there. It's just other circumstances. So that is totally different, from somebody, whatever else it could be. So, Tishera, as we end, what is some advice that you would give a woman who is bitter and she says she want to be in her bitter bag for a minute? She want to be bitter for a minute, and
Mm.
she want to be that way, and she don't want to change. She's not ready to forgive and to love herself and to journal and to date herself. She's not ready. She wants to stay in a bitter bag. What advice would you give her?
I would professionally, I would tell her to listen to, like I said, you still got to go through the crying phase of it. Put on, why does it hurt so bad? And I'm not
And
saying
then
this,
put on, I'm not gonna cry.
right. Because you got to go through this, but don't put yourself in a situation respectfully where you can get caught up in charges. Because see, bitterness can take you. No, listen, yo,
I
man,
wasn't expecting that.
because you're not,
I
you
was
got
not expecting that.
to hear it. Right, listen.
We're like looking at you like D. We're like, what is the master gonna say? And we're like looking at you. And she said, "Don't catch a case."
Don't catch your case because you said respectfully, Kendall, you said you mad, you want to stay stuck there, you want to do this, you want to do that. Well, listen, I'm advising you to go ahead on and cry through these, but don't go catch no case. Because that's bitterness will take you to go catching the case. Because you want to go reject somebody up, you want to go do this, and before you know, you want to look good in orange. You bitter.
Orange is the new black.
Yeah, your orange is going to be the new black if you want to be that mad. And I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it because what I tell them, listen, don't catch your case. Don't catch your case because that bitter and that angriness can get you caught up in a situation
But that's
that
real
is not
though.
Yeah.
good.
That's real.
That's really being
That's
real.
real.
Because like you said, you got someone, oh, this and oh, when I see him with her, I'm gonna do
On
this because
site.
you
On
seen him with
site.
her.
Yeah.
That's what's getting ready. Because see, homegirl gonna say, "Oh no, baby, I'm not fighting you. But what I am going to do is I'm gonna press charges on you. What I am going to do is I'm going to make sure that these charges stick with you. So if you got that good job, you get ready to lose it. Because see, call baby, that's me. I'm not fighting with nobody, baby. Where you work at? Oh, okay. CC.
Look, I had you doing the typing.
That's why it's important. Those questions we talked about last week. You have to ask the questions, and y'all not dating. Y'all with people. I'm speaking for me. Are you in a situationship? Do you have somebody that you could be with? If we gotta hide, I don't want no one approaching me because I'm pressing charges.
If you gotta hide, is that what you just said?
I'm not. I don't want to hide. If I gotta hide it, but if someone comes and approach me, listen, she comes and approach me, and I'm with your think it's supposed to be your man, and you like, oh, this, that. I'm gonna sit right there, and then I'm gonna say, what's her name? It's over. I'm not.
But sometimes that ego, though, that's true. That ego will get you in trouble too.
Right, and that's
ego. It's that ego. I agree with you on that.
Although we're up here laughing, I'm dead serious, but I'm serious about don't let that bitterness get you caught up in something that you're not going to get out of.
That's real.
You're not getting out of no felony. You're not getting out of committing that crime that you did because you was that angry. So now
that's true.
You listen to the song. You can go ahead and
sing it again. Sing it again. Sing it again.
Why does it hurt so bad? Why do I feel so? I thought I was over.
Come on, Whitney.
I'm telling you,
Whitney Hutton. Whitney Hutton.
Hurt so bad. I'm saying, listen, you better. I listened to it. I listened and I cried my whole heart out.
Oh my
God,
you got tears in my eyes.
And you puffy.
Not the way to exhale sound.
But the honest thing is that don't let your bitterness get you caught up in prison.
Yeah.
I guess we should end there. I guess we should.
Gotta come back because y'all already know this is how I'm a therapist. I'm gonna tell you some real therapist stuff. Don't
me and Sheila are crying. You did.
Mommy, but you're right though, because honestly, because there are women out there who do that though.
Snapped. Look at Snapped. Look at that. Like it's real. So that bitterness, but to share, we laughing, but it is true. That bitterness could get you, you could catch a case because you're so angry and you're so bitter. All you see is red and you're not thinking clearly. I mean, it's funny, but it's true. It's true. That bitterness ain't gonna bring you nothing but bad news. It really is. You have to change the way that you think, and you got to take time for yourself, and you got to pray. Sheila can't stop laughing.
Is a fool. Because it's the truth, though. Y'all, you know, like I said, y'all have somebody. I'm out here in these streets in a different type of a way, a respect. But if I'm out with somebody, I'm dead serious. And a woman come and I go get in his car, and she be like, "Oh, you with her? Oh, what's her name? Where's she working?" I'm CCing her boss. I'm pressing charges. I don't care if that's your baby mother. She shouldn't have never approached me. I'm not going to jail, but she is.
Yeah.
Not CCing the boss.
I'm CCing the boss. I'm making sure it goes to his email, her email.
She's pretending like she's typing. Type to share. Type to share.
That's what it's.
Wait, do the typewriter. Push it over.
What? Old school. Ribbon. Let's pull the ribbon. What's going on? I mean, you know, but you know, as a
got tears coming out my eyes.
As a single woman out here that sees things, I just look at all that, and then, like I said, the part of me that schooling in me. Oh, because you have women that here's the other part. I know we got to end written like in 2 seconds. You have the man that
about to fall asleep.
You have the man that does move on, find someone, and the woman is so bitter, and that person causes havoc.
Yeah, that's so true.
Relationship. That's
true.
That's true. So you know that's
because she won't let that man move on in another relationship. She's causing all kind of havoc in that because she's so bitter. That could have been my life. That should have been me. Look at the movie Acrimony. That Tyler Perry movie Acrimony. Think about that. There was an acrimony. There was an acrimonious split, and she got so bitter and possessed with it that she was like That's supposed to be my life. That was supposed to be my car. That was supposed to be my boat. That was supposed to be my house. And it consumed her to the point where we know what happened in the movie. I don't want to spoil it. All right, tell the people how they can get in contact with you, and we'll definitely do another part to this. But we got to wrap up. Tishera, tell the folks.
You can get in contact with me on Facebook, Tishera D. Moore. You can call me at 609-992-3900. That's for Sacred Butterflies. I'm on TikTok. I'm on everything Tishera Amore or T Amore. I'm easy to get in contact with for bookings. So go ahead on if y'all want me to do the type for you, scene. I will act it out for you. I will
And sing. And sing.
See,
oh my God.
See her.
See me.
She's a fool. I cannot. Oh, I love you so much. You are a fool. I just love you.
Oh my goodness.
Sheila, now you laughing in real time.
Oh my goodness.
Laughing. Now she's laughing in real time.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna sleep good tonight.
Yes.
Tell the people how they can get in contact with you, Miss Mrs.
You can get in
Dunbar.
contact with me on Instagram at Sheila's _take or Sunny STUNIE1. And on Instagram, I'm on Facebook at Sheila's Take. You can send me an email at Sheila's Take _outlook.com. Or you can just hit me up on YouTube on Sheila's Take. Everything is Sheila's Take. So you can definitely hit me up on that, even if you want to be a guest on my show.
Hold the book up again.
Here's the book.
All right. Make sure you go to Amazon and listen. And Tishera has a quote from her mom. And Sheila is a co-author in the book that made her a author. She's a published author. So
wait. And I am working on my solo book. I'm almost finished.
Yes, she is. She's almost done. But go to Amazon. What I learned from and about my mother through my personal journey as her child is available on Amazon. You can get all three of us to sign it. We'll figure out the way to sign it for you. So go on to Amazon. We'll all sign it for you. Y'all, thank you so much. And everybody who watched live and put some comments, they laughing at your Gumby and the no teeth. And they're just cracking up. You got Sheila and I over here cracking up. Wait. Let me put this up. This is for Tishera.
The song is by Whitney Houston. No, not Whitney.
I said Woody Hudson. Because I said, you know how on Martin when he did the t-shirts and it said Woody Hutton instead of Whitney Houston.
Baby, why do it hurt so bad?
And here's another one for you, Tishera.
Do not block. Baby. Thank you, Renee.
All right, everybody. Oh my goodness. Everybody, I gotta go watch the Ravens game. I ain't fooling with y'all. All right. So everybody, I thank you. Sheila gotta go to sleep. All right. So thank you everybody for joining me today as we explore new ways to remix and strengthen our relationships. Remember, healthy connections are within your reach, and together we can create the love and life you deserve. You got to heal. You got to set yourself free, and you got to choose not to be bitter. And sometimes it really is a choice. Not saying it's that easy. You still have to put in the work and do the work, but you can make the decision to say, you know what can I learn from this and how can I grow? So I'm not bitter, because one thing you don't want to do is take that bitterness and that hardness into another relationship. Everybody deserves love. This show is about promoting healthy love, and you got to be a healthy person to get into a healthy relationship. Don't think that the other person's supposed to be healthy and you can still be bitter and still trying to figure it out. You have to do your part. I'm Kendall Anisha, Fave Life Coach, the Remix Coach, with a reminder: the power to transform is in your hand. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep loving. Remember, y'all, it's never too late to remix your life at any stage, age, or phase. This is Remixing Relationships. That's Tishera. That is Sheila. Until next time, God bless y'all. Peace.
Yeah.
All right. So we will come back at this thing. We'll figure out what we're going to talk about because y'all out of control, especially that one with the black hoodie on, especially her.
It's because it's serious out here in these streets. Like I said, y'all have someone in your life, but when you meeting these people, you're like,